Greta auto sits at each door, and I wait for eye contact, and when she gives it to me, I release her with free, and then we're on our way. As we get outside, I warm up with engagement work. This means I stand still and quiet and wait for Greta to offer me attention, usually eye contact. When she does, I mark with a yes, grab a treat, and then have her chase the treat in my hand while running backwards. Then I go back to being quiet and wait for more offered attention. As the game goes on, she pays more attention to me and less to the environment. Once she is giving me almost constant attention, we begin our walk. When the leash is clipped to the back of her harness, Greta is allowed to sniff and explore. She can walk ahead of me or on either side of me as long as the leash does not get too tight. Can you tell by the change in Greta's body language that she sees a dog? Notice how she looks ahead and then sniffs the ground. As we get closer to the dog, Greta begins to pull and make the leash tight. I correct this by slowing down. Greta comes towards me and then we continue walking. She gives a nice big shake off, which is shaking off stress, and I reward her for that. Here we have a large dog walking towards us at a short distance away. I mark Greta with a yes for looking at the dog and not barking, reward her, and then I step on the leash to make sure that if she does lunge, she won't go very far. I continue to say yes when she looks at the dog without barking. She is choosing to take steps away from the dog, so I move with her. When she looks at me, I say yes and then give her a treat. And we repeat this until that dog is out of sight. This exercise is called Look at That, or LAT for short. When the leash goes tight, I stop walking and wait for her to come back. And then I reward her for checking in with me a couple times just to regain focus after seeing the dog. See if you can identify the moment Greta notices the people walking towards us. There it is. And you can tell she slows down, her neck lifts up, she stares in their direction, and then she pulls. When she pulls, I stop walking, I wait for her to come back to me, and I reward that. And then I just give her a few moments to take it all in, and when she checks in with me, I reward that, and we keep walking. As we get closer to the group of people, Greta moves to the left side of me because it makes her feel safer to have that distance. Here we have a little family approaching us with a toddler who is singing and having a good time. Greta is quite afraid of toddlers, so when she looks and doesn't bark, I mark her with a yes and give her food. She goes right back to being pretty fixated, and I don't think that we are going to pass without a big reaction, so I use her scatter cue, which means we are going to pull over, and I will sprinkle treats on the ground and encourage her to eat them. This builds a positive association with the trigger, and it gives her something to do while the toddler passes. So she is searching for treats, which is fun. She's eating treats, and that's fun. I am between her and the trigger, keeping her safe. And as soon as they pass and the treats are done, we just keep walking. Here we are practicing engagement work with a new distraction. I reward her every time she checks in with me. And when I think that I have her attention, I'm going to go ahead and begin a training session. The leash is clipped to Greta's collar, which means that we are in walking mode, and I want her to walk on my right side and stay there. I give her treats for walking nicely in position. If she gets out of position, I make a little noise to get her attention, walk backwards, or swing my right arm in a circle on the side of me to cue her to come back, like that.
Good girl. Yes.
Example of us practicing Greta's walk skill. We are in a low distraction environment and her rate of reinforcement is high. We will stay in this area and practice for a few minutes before continuing on our walk, in which I will clip her leash to the back of her harness. Here is an example of Greta going over threshold. 3 joggers and a dog run around a corner towards us. For Greta, this is a crisis, and my job is to help her through it. I restrain her and put a peanut butter squeeze tube up to her mouth. After they pass, I release her. Greta is trigger stacked at this point and barks at a walker we had previously walked next to for 5 minutes. To help her through this, I say her name. When she looks at me, I mark with a yes, and then I use her scatter cue to help her calm down. I encourage her to sniff for treats for about a minute. When she gives a big shake off, I mark with a yes, feed, and then keep walking. We come back home, I cue a sit at the door, then release her to go inside. Once inside, I cue her to lay on her bed and give her a chew to relax with.